Can you please tell us a bit about yourself?
Hello, I'm Marisa Chrysochoou. I am the Dean of the College of Engineering at the University of Missouri, Columbia, otherwise known as Mizzou. And I am an environmental engineer by training, but I started working on engineering education and inclusive engineering education about 10 years ago. Before I was here at Mizzou, I was at the University of Connecticut, and as department head there, I led a program funded by the National Science Foundation called Revolutionizing Engineering Departments. And the program there was about building neuroinclusive educational environments. And so as I got into that and started understanding more, what are the kind of challenges that neurodivergent students face, I understood that that changing the environment to support that makes the environment better for everyone. And so as a Dean of Engineering now, I am committed to taking the best practices that we learned, from the previous project and bring them here to Mizzou, not only in the college, but at the university as well.
Can you please tell us more about the University of Missouri?
The University of Missouri is the flagship land-grant university of the state of Missouri. Every state has one, and what land-grant means is that we are dedicated to serving all the citizens of Missouri. This had started primarily in the old days with agriculture, and Missouri is an agricultural community, but now it's about serving all the citizens and what they need.
Please tell us a little about the surrounding community of Columbia, Missouri.
And so Columbia is a typical college town. It's relatively small. I think it has about 40,000 people. And it is actually an autism-friendly city. It was just designated as that, a few weeks ago. And this tells you that it's a kind of community that, is very open, very welcoming, very forward-looking. And it's also kind of like what makes the University of Missouri great.
Please share some information on the new A-Scene initiative.
I participated in writing the AC proposal when I was still at the University of Connecticut. And how this came together is that there were a few of us working in colleges of engineering. It was myself at UConn, and then Keivan Stasun at Vanderbilt. He had already kind of like started doing this work in terms of like creating autism-friendly environments. We also connected with the people at Northeastern University, where Gregory Abaud is a very big supporter and advocate for autism. And we started talking about, well, how do we create change at scale? Like each of us does some things, like Vanderbilt was focusing on graduate education and research and innovation. At UConn, we were focusing on undergraduate education. Vanderbilt had a big focus on employment. And so we were thinking about, well, if you want neurodivergent students to be successful, you really need to think about the entire life cycle of a student who comes into a university, starting from onboarding and all the way going into employment. And so the model of A-Scene is about that, is about taking individual programs that have been developed at our respective universities and creating an ecosystem where we learn from each other and take these best practices and institutionalize them and apply them at scale.
What are Mizzou's focus areas as part of the A-Scene collaboration?
So here at Mizzou, actually what we are doing is something that was not originally foreseen in the proposal for two reasons. First is that I was still back at UConn, and so we didn't really necessarily have Mizzou as a partner yet. But more importantly is that when we wrote the proposal, AI was not the big thing that it is right now, right? AI is now the big kind of like question mark and unknown on how it shapes higher education. And so when I came here and Keyvan said, we want you to be a partner, we want Mizzou to be, to come on board this project, and how do you see, your involvement? I said, well, you know what? I just got a big grant, a new grant on RED that it is about AI and neuroinclusion. And so I want to kind of like take those ideas and bring them into ASEAN and thinking about, well, if we are now going into an era when every student interacts and uses AI to communicate, to learn, to essentially kind of like empower themselves in college. How do we make sure, that this is really tailored and supports neurodivergent students? And so that is what Mizzou is focusing on. So the way that we are structuring the program right now is a participatory research project. So the idea is that for us to create a framework in which, we provide students and people with some kind of like best practices and guidelines of how to utilize AI, how to prompt to do prompt engineering in a way, that is mindful of and supports neuroinclusion. We are doing that through a participatory research model, and so we are building what we call the AI Learning Lab, and that is a place where students come in and work with us to create protocols of communication, protocols of working with instruction, with solving problems within the context of the academic environment. And then we explicitly also invite neurodivergent students to engage with AI and then share with us, their experience and help shape a framework for how to use AI in a way that doesn't propagate stigma and bias. A lot of the times, there is a stereotype that communication is a challenge for autistic individuals and autistic students. For example, a professor may give them, you may be talking to a student and you may give them, like a task, something to do. They may not be clear on what it is, that they are meant to do, but they're afraid to ask, or they word, their question or their email in a way where, there is no like mutual communication on exactly what the expectations are. And so the idea here is that AI can be a coach and a mediator to help, students translate, or improve communication with their professors. That's one example of what we are talking about.
Beyond ASEAN, what else are you working on to make Mizzou an even more neuroinclusive campus?
The program and the things that we are doing overall encompass like a much larger framework. So, for example, we are doing a lot of inclusive teaching, professional development for faculty, redesign courses according to universal design for learning. So everything that we kind of learned at UConn and that probably Connie talked about, we are actively implementing and working with our faculty and our students to bring that into our classrooms. So that's one of the things that we are looking at. I'm also leading a neurodiversity task force at the university level to think about how do we scale up and institutionalize supports for our students. So there's a lot going on, that we are doing.
Any success stories you would like to share?
So I think what I want to say, about ASEAN and the university overall is that what we are trying to do is also bring in a lot of different partnerships. So, for example, what a success story can look like, when you're trying to build this environment. I actually just came off my previous call before you was with Woodhaven, which is a local nonprofit organization that supports people with developmental disabilities, including autistic individuals. And so what we did is we hosted 3 interns this summer from who are affiliated with Woodhaven, and one of them participated in our AI and learning research that we did. And so she helped us, she worked with us as a paid intern to go through all transcriptions of interviews that we did with students on how to best use AI in the context of the learning. And so in this process, there was a frequent interaction between the student, our staff, our other students, and that type of activity that you do is one of the things that truly opens opportunities up for people, but it also humanizes, what we are, the experience of neurodivergent individuals for everyone else. And so my goal is to change not only what we do here within the college, but also partner with our community, with our with employers, to make sure that there is a positive experience throughout people's lives.
Big thanks to Marisa and the University of Missouri. Please subscribe to Inclusive Academia.